What it really comes down to is an idea that now I can explain really well. And so it's very frustrating when people go, oh, RNA and Novavax, they're actually the same. And there's a huge, huge distinction between why this is so messed up. It's because when you take one mRNA or Novavax as a booster to previous mRNA, the reaction is about the same. The mRNA peaks a little higher, the Novavax lasts a little longer. Now, Novavax has a bunch of reasons. The adjuvant is more responsive to your immune response. It's better for you long term. It makes it better, but we don't track any of that stuff, so that doesn't matter. It's not on the agenda. It's not even at the dinner. So they can say that okay, mRNA and Novavax are about the same, except Novavax is a priming vaccine and mRNA is not. And the difference is that a priming vaccine is what they hoped mRNA would be, where it would give you this continuously boosted response with a long-term memory response or a long-term antibody response, basically, right? And so, because you do get a memory response, that's another thing. It's a separate issue, and it's the wrong variant. But a long-term antibody response, so you like continuously have some level of antibodies in your blood. The thought process on this is that it has to do with your long-lasting plasma of the bone marrow. I think is what it's called. And so that happens in Novavax, but it doesn't happen in mRNA. So when you get mRNA, you're just boosting seasonally. You're like 2 or 3 months of protection. It wanes by 6 months. You're probably in the negative. You got nothing left. You can't get another shot right away, and you can sort of, but it boosts up. Like regulation said you can, but you're like whether or not you should get them that often, that close to each other is very questionable. Maybe you're protected, maybe you're not. But with Novavax, basically, you get the initial 2 dose booster, and that creates a baseline of response that carries on for 400 days at least. And that was only ended because the testing ended at 400 days. And so basically, what happens is that this leads you up to a baseline about half of your boosted 2 dose series. About half, let's just say. About half. So you go weighing to about half, and then it crops out of 400 days. So like a whole year of just 2 doses, you'll have that baseline of protection. And at any point, you can get a third shot, and it will boost you up on top of that into the next level. Now, from there, what's interesting is from there, especially if you do the 2 shots 3 to 8 weeks apart and then a third 6 months after the last, that creates a new plateau. So you have this plateau that goes on for 400 days after 2 doses, right? And that's about half of the response that peaks from the 2 dose itself, which is not really a clear peaking because it's only when they tested it. It's not necessarily exactly how it works. It's just how it was measured. And so when you get that third shot, it lifts you up to a new higher plateau. And that plateau that is now your new baseline after 3 is higher than the 2 shot peak. So the third shot lifts you up even more above that. And then when it wanes to a new baseline that's higher up. It doesn't wane to the old baseline, it wanes to the new baseline. So mRNA cannot do this. mRNA cannot boost your response after multiple shots and then create a baseline that plateaus because it doesn't have long lasting plasma cells. Novavax has long lasting plasma cells, but that only becomes true if you stop approaching it from the seasonal booster methodology. That only becomes true if you use the vaccine as it was originally intended to use. And I think the thing that is the most anti vaxxer of all of this is from our government, who's trying to convince people that, the first time we were going to try to vaccinate against this novel disease was going to work out. Like, that is the most ridiculous. Like, oh, we'll get it right the first time. We tried for 6 months. That's all. No, shut up. Sit down. It is any disease like this. It takes multiple attempts. We improve vaccines all the time, and we should continue to. It's a march of technology issue. It's one of the marches of technology that we should actually be really focused on. So to say that mRNA and Novavax have the same response is under that specific booster methodology, which is wrong. It's as bad as droplet theory. It's as bad as all the other things that were wrong.